Brad Winterbaum, you and me need to have a word. Sir, you said in an interview that we have not seen Sadie Sink's character in X-Men 97 and she'll be showing up next week.
About that.
Unless there's a multiversal episode, your ass is lying. Cause what?
Oh dear.
You're just point blank Santa's buying you your Christmas presents this year to us adults? Is that what we're doing?
So, do you want to address the elephant in the room now while we're on the subject?
She's just Jean Grey. It was just the most obvious thing in the world. You attempted to the more actual adequate, and I don't think you'll get this, but if Keona was in here, he would. You basically just said, no, the Arkham Knight is not Jason Todd. Or the Arkham Knight is, no, what it was is the Arkham Knight is a brand new character. When in reality, it was a half step between Jason Todd becoming the Red Hood. He just was the Arkham Knight for 2 minutes before he became the Red Hood. It was just Jean Grey. That's all it was. It was just Jean Grey.
I will say this though, if you've seen the box office projections, clearly the whole shrouding a character in mystery thing is kind of working. But that being said, they don't need to do that because it's fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah. The thing is like, they never even tried to be mysterious about it. They just never said what her name was.
Yeah.
And one thing that we'll get into it later, but I appreciate it because I was like, if you guys are changing Jean Grey's powers to where she's just a body jumper, I'm going to be pissed. But then they actually had the mutants during, for those that don't know, most of the time mutants have their X genes activate during puberty for the most part. A good chunk of them. Or a traumatic event. And then they had her psionic and telepathic abilities manifest during the things that were going on inside the damage control headquarters. So like, okay, you just had it be a half step before she actually became what we know as Jean Grey. But okay, so I appreciate that they Amazing Spider-Man 2'd this movie in the intro.
Oh, yeah.
They went, we understand that this main actor no longer looks like he's in high school. We are going to make you understand that this main actor is no longer in high school. Because we're not playing that stupid game anymore. and the intro of this one with the Marvel logos and him disappearing from all the scenes was...
That was a really cool touch. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah. I like that quite a bit as well. Them using that intro more in special ways like that is fantastic. Sometimes it's just sight dressing to make it look cool and like, yeah, we spent a lot of money, but no, this is actually really awesome, like storyline wise. They need to do that more often. Like the last one I really remember where they did something cool was, I believe it was during Black Panther, and they had all this stuff for Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
So they had like 9 villains in that opening intro for have him taking out like Boomerang.
Boomerang, Tombstone. There are a couple others that I'm not
just
as
minor ones. Like Boomerang is a somewhat consistent Spider-Man villain that you will never know exists. Because it's one of those things where no, Captain Boomerang is a Flash villain. I'm like, yeah, but there is a guy called Boomerang that's a Spider-Man villain, but you don't hear about him for the reason I just stated, because he's more obvious. The more known version of a Boomerang villain is in the Flash.
Yep.
Yeah, it was cool seeing the New York love for Spider-Man. The only thing that's weird is they show that everyone remembers Peter Parker, or not Peter Parker, remembers Spider-Man.
But not Peter Parker.
Not Peter Parker, yes. They remember all of this, and I suppose it goes away because everything that was wrong with what happened to Mysterio and all that, where Spider-Man got a very bad reputation, was during No Way Home, and then the spell happens because they're like, no, his name is Peter Parker, and Peter Parker killed Mysterio, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Now, nobody remembers that Spider-Man was being accused of killing Mysterio? Because he's loved unanimously by the public.
Yeah.
And J. Jonah doesn't exist.
Yeah, I wonder how much of people's memories was altered after that spell.
You have to wonder exactly, and it's so weird that you have a Spider-Man movie, because this is, I think, no, I wouldn't say that. That's not that. It's just so weird having J. Jonah be there to hate on him, and then the next movie he's just
non-existent.
He's non-existent. No. Everyone has this great opinion of Spider-Man, and you don't have that very typical naysayer going, no, you all remember that he murdered our hero Mysterio. I don't know who he is, but I know he's a murderer. And I'm blanking on it, because I haven't read an actual Spider-Man comic in probably 10 years. Is DeWolf a recent thing?
Good question.
Because I remember Yuri Watanabe. I don't remember DeWolf. And I am kind of shocked that they didn't use Yuri Watanabe, because the main inspiration that Destin said for a lot of this movie was from the Insomniac games. And the role that DeWolf has is literally just what Yuri Watanabe is in the Insomniac games. A female officer that gets him all his intel and that he talks with.
Okay, so the character has been around since the 70s.
Oh, wow.
So this is I guess just like a race swap version of her.
Was it a man before? Or no, it was a white, or sorry, not gender swapped. Was she just white before, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I never remember DeWolf being mentioned ever. Weird. Okay. One thing I have to ask, speaking again of the Insomniac games, do you realize, one thing that I have to mention, and I've never really thought about it now until someone brought it up. There's something that's in this movie that people are quoting as inaccurate because there is some actual damage that the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies did to the character of Peter Parker. And that is, they forget that Peter is a genius inventor / reconfigurer / fixer. Everyone's mad that he has technology in his apartment.
Yeah, but people really do forget that he is, like, he was about to go to MIT.
He's about to go to MIT. He's an unbelievable genius. And again, in the Insomniac games this is based on, he is known for scrounging, finding stuff, and refixing it, and having his own little tech cave based off of stuff that he found that he didn't have to pay for because he's poor. He's not destitute, living off the street and eating shit off the sidewalk. He is just not rich. Everyone thinks that Peter Parker is literally not eating garbage, that he's not being represented correctly. And it's kind of ridiculous how much people are like, no, he's destitute. He's living on the street. He's showering at the YMCA. He's not that poor.
No,
he's just...
he's just not Tony Stark. That's it.
Exactly. And then what blows my mind where everyone's like, he'd only have this if he would have... He doesn't have technology if he doesn't have Tony Stark. But no! Shut up! My God! And if he's not suffering at all points of his life, it's not Peter. No, he can have moments where he's happy. He can. I understand he's Marvel's punching bag, but again, the amount of kind of just that some of those Sam Raimi movies did to that character to a certain degree that people aren't realizing kind of irritates me. Love those movies, but fuck, it did some damage to that character, people's perception that know nothing outside of those movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, one thing this movie does not do, and it was something they were thinking of doing, in this movie they start, and it's the only one that I can think of, where they actually start making it an issue that he has arachnid DNA in him. It's kind of shocking how little, outside of Man-Spider, that they never bring up the fact that his arachnid DNA should be fucking with him at some points, like in comics and everything. It's just never brought up all that much.
And I wonder if this is the reason why Jean Grey was introduced, because they're really kind of hammering in the very concept of mutations, mutants, all of that.
Oh, I think that very much was Destin had a story he wanted to tell, and he did it the proper way of how you cast characters in a superhero movie, in my opinion, is you have the story, and then you realize what characters in comics would best fit to tell the story in the parts you want, not pick the characters in an attempt to tell a story with the characters you were told to tell a story with. Because that way often leads to bad things.
Like The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. God, that movie could have been so good. Some of the highest highs and are in that movie. But also the lowest lows are in that movie, and they outweigh the highest highs. That is the definition of a roller coaster, is that movie.
No, but I think the best thing about this movie is, like, more so than the Home trilogy, this like actually feels like I'm reading a Spider-Man comic. Like even the inclusion of Yelena just being in the movie but not really participating in the action.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I've told many people, this to me felt like the most Marvel Comics movie that I've watched.
Yep.
Because I know I brought this point home so many times till I'm blue in the face. If you hijack a car in the middle of Marvel New York, you have every chance between getting your ass beat by anyone from Ben Grimm to Ghost Rider. They're all there. And yet in all these movies, not even small cameo parts, it's kind of like, no, nobody exists in that. No, it's like, the Punisher's just chasing the same guy I am. The Hulk's just teaching at the university. Yelena's at this bathhouse doing whatever. There's 16 villains that I just took down last month. This felt like the most lived-in Marvel movie that we've ever had. And that is more than Avengers movies that typically have 12 Avengers in them.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like those, okay, we have to be here because it's an Avengers movie. This is like, no, this is Spider-Man. He just happens to be interacting with a bunch of people that would be in those locations at that time.
This actually feels like the full potential of what we were promised about a decade ago fully realized.
Mm-hmm. What I was getting back to before with the spider DNA thing, Tom Holland said in an interview, and it blew my mind that I never saw it in the entire movie, but then said in an interview, he goes, there was many nightmare sequences where we were going to do Man-Spider, but we didn't want to freak out kids. I'm like, I was wondering why you guys never didn't, because if you guys never thought in your brain that the movie you were telling and no one ever thought of putting Man Spider in it, I was going to be viscerally upset that you thought of everything else but not that. And then they're like, Tom specifically goes, yeah, we also want like kids to enjoy this movie, and I don't know if how freaky in real life seeing Man Spider would work.
I was trying to picture what that would look like with these visuals, and yeah, they.
Especially with how visceral Destin would have probably made it look.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you remember what Man Spider looks like in the old TAS cartoons?
Oh yeah, that thing was freaky.
It was freaky as fuck. The 6 arms, the big old head. Oh.
Seeing what he did with the Hulk, like, and then trying to imagine that, but for Man Spider.
You mentioned it, and I don't know if this is a hot take. I think this is the best writing the Hulk's ever had.
Yeah.
By like a lot. This felt like a genuine good, like, normal, just not here for a plot device, here being a character he's ever been.
It feels like kind of like what you said before, like the story, like the characters have to fit the story, not the other way around. And this is a great example of that, because like we were always eventually going to get Rage Hulk back, but how they do it in this movie, I think, was the right move.
Absolutely. You have all this character, and the main thing is about Peter is not being himself. He's actively hiding away Peter Parker because he himself has forgotten who Peter Parker is. And that's a great thing I didn't know they were going to do with this movie. Like, he legit forgets that he's Peter Parker at points. And is not letting him be that way. So then they're like, who are some other characters that are kind of fucked in the head that can't hide behind masks or are hiding their stuff to do that? And you get Frank Castle, and you have to get the great lines in there about how this is a sentence. Do you think if for the longest time, if I could be near my family or be normal, that I'd be hiding behind a mask being a coward like you are? The fact you were going to get a good speech like that from the Punisher of all people in this movie,
I know,
that was fantastic. And then the inner turmoil and him screaming at her to get out and all that of her rooting around in the Hulk's mind. Also, by the way, one of I laughed at this way more than I thought I would, and I've seen the movie twice now. When speaking of the Punisher, when he's about to face off against the Hulk, and you clearly see that Jean Grey has got a hold of Frank, and he's got the bombs, and he turns back and goes, "Well, good luck with that, Peter," and he walks away. Sean Barenthal's delivery of that line is so fucking funny. Just to tell that, good luck with that, Peter. So good. Oh god, that was so funny.
By the way, the fact that like he's actually in the movie like more than I was expecting is, well, one, it's like a great testament to how to how deep the friendship between him and Tom Holland is, but also just like, yeah, after one last kill, it does make sense that he would like willingly pal around with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I've gotten to the point now with these Spider-Man movies where I'm realizing people are like, it's a crutch he has to these characters, and I'm like, no, I don't know if I'd like these as much if I didn't have the people for Spider-Man to bounce off of. He is a talkative character that I appreciate getting to see interact with and change other characters that he's in movies with. Like, I'm not kidding. There's points in here where I've liked his relationship with the Punisher more than I've liked his relationship with Tony.
Yes. Actually, yes.
It's outrageous to me. And they have maybe 20 minutes of screen time together. That's crazy. The side that he brought out of the Punisher just by being some kid. And he's like, they say it at the hospital. We'll get there because we're kind of jumping around, but the scene where he's like, I saw real bravery today, and it's just like, and you're what I thought you looked like. You're just a good kid. I never thought I'd have a friend like that.
Actually started tearing up a bit when he said that.
Yeah, it's just, fuck. You don't get that with other people, and that's why I'm perfectly fine with them having these other characters in these Spider-Man movies, because it's really good. Spider-Man is one of those characters that benefits from being able to bounce off of other people. So when I told people that this is very much a different Spider-Man movie, like, you have Scorpion in it, but this is essentially Spider-Man's main villain in this movie is kind of himself.
Yep.
And I like that a lot because people don't like to think that Spider-Man's head is as screwed up as it is. There was... What this reminds me of, kind of... you've seen the Harley Quinn cartoon show, obviously. You remember the episode where they go into Bruce's head and, like, the only memory he thinks about is the night his parents died?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's essentially him with Aunt May in this. And I appreciate that kind of... His mindscape is him consistently thinking about, you can't think you're different, and because you're special, that's what makes you you, kind of thing. And I know it's scary and all that. That was really good. The Ned and MJ being in here, I am kind of shocked they didn't openly name the dude MJ was dating as Paul. I was really expecting that.
I was waiting for that as well.
It's like, come on, say his name. It's gotta be Paul. Or it would have been like, I'm also wondering, like, openly, that he wasn't in this movie. Like, one of the main people that wasn't, although he was one of the main suspects for who Peter Parker is, or who Spider-Man is. I'm wondering if they finally got that a lot of people aren't the hugest fan of their version of Flash Thompson.
I mean, it's possible. It's also possible that the actor just wasn't available. So, but
it is. It's just, I noticed that over the time of the movies, that his amount of time that is in said movies just kind of
drops to like nothing.
Like, is he in? I can't remember. Is he in No Way Home?
He is for like 2 scenes.
Okay.
If even that.
Okay. It's been a little bit of a minute since I watched No Way Home. Anyway. So, him interacting out and then having that kind of metamorphosis scene after the stuff at the party was really good. Him interacting with Ned is fantastic. They're always just really good together. Him making the Spidey tracker that is in the Insomniac game, it's so weird. Like, Ned in these movies is just Genki Lee, which is characterized as the guy in the chair for Miles. He's just an Asian kid that is Miles' dude in the chair. And he's exactly what Ned is in these movies. He has the spider tracker. He's always in his headset. All this. They're best friends. They have the relationship that Ned and Peter do, except it's just not Miles and Genki.
I still love that they make fun of that in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it's great. Also, I got to meet the guy who voices Genki. He's a really good dude. That was a great touch because it leads to the end credit scene that we'll get to later. And that start out metamorphosis to where it all of it also doesn't feel like that they get that and then it's okay, this is screwing up, I can't figure this out, I need to go find Bruce. This reminds me of we didn't talk about the scene with Yelena either. That was really funny. Just the Yelena's just office being in a Russian bathhouse is fantastic. She's so good at her job. This reminds me of, have you ever seen the scene about where Matt Stone and Trey Parker talk about how you should write a script?
Yeah, pretty sure I've seen that one before.
Where you don't say, I want to do this, so this happens. Is like, no, this happens, therefore this happens. And this happens, therefore this happens. That's how you write a script. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. This movie is the textbook definition of this happened, therefore this happens, then this happens. Like, they don't introduce a character unless Peter has a genuinely good reason to go speak to that character. They're not there because they want to go, boo, and have cheers from the crowd. Like, that would be the person in the Marvel Universe he would go talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes this really good. Like, I'm not saying every Marvel movie's like that, but there's some where they're just kind of like, well, it'd be really cool if that person was on screen, and I guess we could Jimmy rig that in there somehow. But do you think that they'll ever bring up that girl was Sydney in his class? Do you know who that is?
I don't.
The girl who asked the question. It is so funny that they actually had someone ask the question if he was so upset about the use of the materials and food in the universe, why didn't he just use the magic stones to double the amount of food in the universe? That was really funny. No, the girl who asked the question was an Asian girl named Sydney.
Oh.
Silk is Cindy Moon. I'm seeing all these people freaking out online about, we're gonna have another spider, whatever. No. It's a girl named Sydney. This is the same people that just because Peter talked to a black kid 3 different times in this movie, that's Miles.
Oh God,
Can we just stop with that?
I can't do that. Like, Miles has to be A, younger.
Very.
B, I'm sure they can actually find like an Afro-Latina actor to play him. Like, it's not him. It's not that random guy that Peter just happens to meet on the street.
Yeah, and it was twice. That little kid he saved on the scooter, and I started so the scooter's like, oh, that's gonna be Miles. You know what started this horse shit? When they retrofitted in everybody's canon because Kevin Feige went, yeah, sure, to that one fucking kid at the science fair being Peter Parker that Iron Man saves in 2. That was the dumbest thing they've ever done in the MCU. Yeah, sure, that was Peter. The ages don't line up whatso-fucking-ever, and Peter never brings that up ever, but yeah, that was him.
So dumb.
Because everyone's like, no, there has to be connective tissues. Don't ramrod things together when they don't make sense because you have to have your fan fiction. But, that being in class, bringing that up with him, and then that reaches him on to going on to other stuff. And Peter being genuinely smart, like figuring stuff out, like the jump distances with the 33 feet. That was a really great touch where he pinned him with that helicopter pilot in the air. Like, you got a distance problem with your jumping here, don't you? You got a limit, huh? That was so good. Yeah, that's... And the web swinging in this is 1,000% from the Insomniac games. There's actual full-on scenes, like where he runs off and does the unnecessary backflip over the building. That's a literal cutscene from an Insomniac game. The web grenades that he throws off are...
That's from the Insomniac
That's from the Insomniac games. There's all these... There's, like, pinpoint takedowns. Like, when he web zips in the air and then freaking pile drives his feet down on Scorpion... That's a takedown from the Insomniac games. The amount of just like, man, there's this game that has like, if you go through the trilogy, 180 hours of shit that we can take from that people love. Why don't we just, do that? And it's a testament to how good those games are. to where I watch this movie and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to put in another 60 hours and completely 100% the first Insomniac Spider-Man game again. Mike, I know you're not that much of a gamer, but my God, dude. At some point in your life, I don't know if I have to buy you a system, dude, but you need to play those Insomniac games. They're so good.
That's what I keep hearing, and
God.
who knows? Maybe I might one day.
Because A, you need to do that, but B, you also need to play the Arkham games.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to figure that out for you someday. I don't know how, but we're going to figure that out for you someday. This one thing that they do not give Tom's Spider-Man enough credit for, and I think he's honestly my favorite Spider-Man now, if I'm going to be perfectly fucking honest. Like it was Andrew for the longest time. Outside of when deaths happen in the other two's movies, we don't get to see the emotional side of Spider-Man that much as we do with Tom. Now, of course, he's been in more stuff, but even just in his own movies, Tom is a really good actor.
He is, and I think now just because we've seen him more often, he has become like the most seasoned Spider-Man actor.
Oh,
that
yeah.
like he understands his character like front and back, not just the stuff on the surface, but like he understands that like that Peter Parker has to make Peter Parker makes the sacrifices so that Spider-Man can do what he does.
Exactly. And watching them going through all of it through the phones and all that, never speaking through it out. God, how do I want to put this? I'm keep a track of where we are in here. Keeping everything going throughout with MJ, man. I don't know, and I mean this. And this involves Aunt May being murdered. I don't know if there's been a person who's done a worse thing to Peter than Jean did.
Oh. Yeah.
That was fucking horrible. Like, holy shit. Because I bought it. And then for a second, when the music stayed the same, I'm like, that's Jean. She's fucking with him. And, oh my gosh, that was something. You know what kind of... It's sad and what takes me out of that scene almost every time. Do you know what I think about when I see that rooftop with that red sign?
Oh. You think of Madam Web.
I think of Madam Web. I'm like, damn it, that is seared into my brain. I can't get rid of it. Yeah. Then making her... And okay. Did you think MJ was gonna die?
No. But... honestly, if anything, I was just kind of reminded of a scene from... Like, this is obviously a much worse, but I was thinking of, like, anytime Lois Lane, like, jumps off a building just so Superman can save her. I feel like Jean was kind of making MJ do something like that.
I know, it's just that they, point for point, recreated, even with the same special effects, the shot of No Way Home before Andrew's Spider-Man saves her. Like, even the special effects, the way her hair was flowing and everything was exactly the same. And if they were going to pull some horse shit where they do it how... Because everyone in, like, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is like, they exactly recreated it. She dies because it's Peter's fault because her neck snaps. I'm like, no! Her fucking head basketball bounces off the concrete! Do you all forget that she smacks her head off the concrete? So I thought that they were going to pull the thing where, like, he goes to web zipper and it the... like, ugh, we're halfway through this movie. We can't be doing that.
No.
Yeah, you get that in there. And then we formally get introduced to Jean Elaine Grey, which didn't know that was that. I didn't know for the life of me that Jean had a sister.
Yeah, I'm only vaguely familiar with Sarah Gray, and obviously in this movie, like the origin
Very
story
different.
is a little bit. It is definitely a departure.
Yeah, it's very
Like
different.
in the comics, Sarah is actually alive, supposedly.
She is, and she is a very, very different character that is much more powerful than what just body jumping was doing in this. And that coming through at the end with all that, well, they obviously, Peter stops her and comes up with the inhibitor. The whole fight scene inside the
The
damage control headquarters was fantastic. And then being realistic with these characters too. The writings for these characters is so good. When Frank comes in and starts helping Peter, and he's shooting off like that, and he goes back. What are you doing here? This is above your pay. You're gonna fight the Hulk. It turns out, oh shit! He jumps away. He's like, that's our highest casualty target. You take care of that. I will get rid of her. Are you just trying to get out of fighting the Hulk right now? Yeah. She told me to save her. Did she tell you to do that? Are you blushing, Daffodil? You tell I'm blushing. I'm wearing a mask. Speaking of that mask, and I guess it got brought up by Destin Daniel Cretton that he liked it. I like that you could actually see with the lenses inside Peter's eyes at point. You can actually see them through the lenses.
Yeah, that I don't remember. I don't remember if that was like a thing in the home trilogy, but here I really like honed in on it.
No. Well, I believe it's new here because they said they got a brand new guy to make these lenses, which I think they might be my favorite Spider-Man lenses in movies ever. The way
Isn't like his entire mask like just all practical?
it's all practical. It's like an actual like fit thing, and like it's got reactives. Like there's a little bit of special effects on it, but a lot of it's very much practical, especially those lenses.
Yeah.
And they were talking about it where all of a sudden Destin just randomly shooting realized that you could see his eyeballs, and then all of a sudden he's like, Tom goes, do you want to change it? He goes, no. I like seeing that you can notice there's actually somebody behind there, and you can kind of emote that way in certain stuff. Also, the suit looks great. The only thing I never liked about the suit, if I'm being perfectly honest, is the big fucking chunky web shooters. But now I understand why they're like that, because they need to have something that he can actually like eject off. And if it was the little itty bitty ones that he normally had, it wouldn't have the effect that it does.
Yeah.
Them taking out Jean and coming back and getting MJ to read the letter when Peter's not there, to me was a stroke of genius.
That scene was great. Like I thought it was gonna go in one direction, but then it surprised me because in some ways it kind of even reminded me of Guardians Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because the relationship between them is like completely different.
Oh yeah, 100%. You get that in the whatever the spell he says and Peter breaks down and says, I love you. She goes, I don't love you. I don't even know who you are. Like that fucking hurts. I can't get over how they somehow fixed One More Day.
Yes.
I don't know, and effortlessly, basically. One of the most hated Spider-Man storylines of all time. They made one of the best ones in a movie set of movies ever. And it comes out of nowhere. And they're just like, no, we're going to do that. We're just going to make a really good version of it because the one in the comic sucks ass.
This is why it's not always a good thing for these movies to be comic accurate.
And that's the thing that drives me nuts. I know I've said this 100 times. These movies are just new versions of a comic run. That's all they are. They're not copies, they're not whatever. It's just a new run of said comic. Which sometimes comics retell the same story. Comics retells different stories. It's just the same thing, except in an audio-visual format put onto a screen. That's all the difference is. And people like to be all high and mighty and act like there's a difference. There is not.
Nope.
The swing home and people like pointing out that Peter got better control of his organic web shooting as he was with MJ. Also the fact that they basically redid the Spider-Man 1 scene with the up and away web when he's trying to figure out how to shoot it.
I noticed that too.
That was really good. Peter 2 had organic webs and he was cool. This will be fine. Getting back and having him get to meet Ned and talk, and like her realizing like, no, this spell really fucked you over. I'm seeing what you were and what we used to be. Getting to see her from an outside perspective of like watching how badly he was dealing with this spell fucking over his entire life. And like not having to explain every single memory, but just being able to see it within 2 seconds. The drawing, he's like, you two do look like your best friends. And bringing that back, she does that when she's in detention, when she's just like, no, I just like drawing people in distress, because she never had detention, and it shows a picture of her drawing Hannibal Buress's like basketball coach character from freaking Homecoming. And just, again, how stuff is naturally. It's not like shoved in your face how Spider-Man figures stuff out. Like, they're showing him actually being smart. When she says Sarah and he lies to him about him remembering stuff, and MJ goes, yeah, it was instantaneous. It was just really weird. Also, him admitting that they kissed. I was very happy they did that, because if they never would have brought that up, I was like, that was a big invasion of privacy and a very weird thing that she made you do.
Yeah, kind of funny how this movie comes out after Obsession, where they do something similar in Wonder Woman 1984, and they just like don't
bring up how that's borderline rape.
Mm-hmm.
And no one ever talks about it. I know we did, but it was like, no, it's not that weird. No, Steve Trevor just steals a dude's body and they fuck. No consent whatsoever. And it's just like, hijinks in the 80s. And there's no reason for it to be that way either. They could have just brought Steve Trevor back.
Right?
It's so weird. But seeing him figuring this shit out for himself and being his own Spider-Man and all of that, it's very good, them showing like, no, Peter on his own is good. He just had help from everybody, and he wasn't only good because he had other people. He was good on his own.
Exactly.
But I started to be like, I swear when I was watching this movie, this movie flies by.
It does.
I thought we got Infinity Ward in this movie. Because we see the hand, we see the fight inside there, and all of a sudden, I felt like we were at the end of the movie when he's talking with MJ and them, and some thing's gonna happen, and they're like, oh no, maybe I screwed up. And then, like, we never had the fucking fight in the jail cells. He never went to a jail. We never had this of like, did they just lie in the trailers again and have fake scenes? And then I'm like, oh no, and I look at my watch, I've only been here for an hour and a half. What? And it go off the Roosevelt, everything that happened at that facility on Roosevelt Island was just fantastic. The fact that VMAX was just the sticker on the vent. Where Metzger wasn't even lying to Peter. He had no idea what VMAX was. He's like, everybody keeps asking me this. What does I have no idea what VMAX means. Like, even Gene's like, I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're the second person today who's asked me about this. But yeah, they don't make these characters act like who they aren't either. Peter going in, still quipping, doing other things, making his way through all the damage control guards. Frank, even though he's kind of shown like softened a little bit with Peter, where he's just like, "You take care of this shit, or I'm going to do it my own way. I understand we get along, but I'm not doing this shit anymore." And then, or also Gene with Frank. Ooh, this guy's got issues. When they get in there and Jean unlocks her abilities, Sadie Sink's a really good actor.
She's incredible. And now that I've seen this movie, I know exactly why she was cast as Jean Grey.
Yeah, the only hands that will wield this power are my own. God, she's good at her job. It does bring up some questions about. I think they're not going to do a certain storyline because Samara Weaving is quite the age gap between her and Jean Grey.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So unless we're gonna have Emma Frost be a big old predator, I don't think that storyline's happening.
No.
The visual take in all of the storyline points of her having to get into Peter's head of being like, are you Peter Parker or are you Spider-Man? They want to come after you the same way they want to come after me because we're different. And you're hiding who you are. And when he finally, like, I'm both of them, and again, does a whole lot of Insomniac Spider-Man shit in there, where, and the main thing of showing that he's both, where he's Peter Parker and Spider-Man, when he smacks that hand member into that pipe but stops it 2 seconds before it would have stabbed him.
Yes.
That's a really good touch. And he does the Web Blossom, which is basically a move from the Insomniac Spider-Man game, except in reverse, where he jumps up and then just zips everybody to the wall. It's a busted ability that you can do quite a bit. I called out and predicted in the movie when he finally got in that part of what was going to help her is her getting in his head. And when they finally get in there and she's like, I can get in your brain, I'm more powerful than I used to be, he goes, go ahead. Getting Aunt May to be the person to talk down Jean.
Again, another point where I nearly, like, teared up, because they found exactly they found exactly the right point, like, to have Jean, like, be in the story. Mm-hmm. Like they everything from, you know, her powers, her abilities, all of that, but mostly that these two connected on, like, a deep emotional level. That's the reason why she's there.
Yeah, like, this is obviously it is a good chunk of helping introduce mutants, but someone in the writing room went, Peter's doing this, Peter's at this point in his life. And then someone had to have openly suggested, what if we make Jean Grey the villain of a Spider-Man movie? And then everyone else went, what are you talking? And one guy went, no, wait. And then became freaking Charlie Day with Pepe Sylvia doing, like, all this horseshit going, actually, that really works. This dude's cooking. Because I'll tell you right now, if you would have told me 3 Spider-Man movies ago that are like, hey, one of the best Spider-Man villains in a movie is going to be Jean Grey.
Actually, no. The villain of this movie is Peter Parker.
And you know what I mean. Because we agreed on that. We said that earlier. But it's like the main driving villain force in this is going to be Jean Grey against Peter. Because Peter's not feeling who he is. It's like, oh, Jean, what? Jean Grey, of like the mismatch of that in this, and of like, okay, then you tone down her powers and get to go up in there. And this scene in his head brings up a problem that us as a society needs to stop with. Peter is acting as her big brother.
Oh.
For the love of God, when he says, "You've got me," she just started talking about how she has no friends or family, and Peter says, "You got me." That does not instantly mean both of them want to fuck each other. Can we please stop where any two people, of any sex really at this point, if they're in a room and show support for each other, means they want to date? Peter addresses her as a kid. He's no longer a high schooler. Jean is probably 15 or 16 in their continuity, and Peter's probably in his mid-20s. Can we stop? Please? For the love of God? Peter's got more than enough love interests. We don't need to have him become a part of the fucked up love octagon that is Jean Grey's life. We don't. My God, we don't. There's more than enough fucking issues for her that she's going to have in her life that she doesn't need to have Peter as a love interest. She needs to have it as a support. Because we don't even know how much longer we're going to have Peter in these movies.
Yeah, exactly.
But, honest question. With Tom talking about how he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be doing solo Spider-Man movies, or he's only going to make a Spider-Man movie if it's a good idea and he's not going to do them just to do them. And now he's talked a lot about how he would like to pass the mantle on to Miles. Did you think even for a second that he was going to die?
I'm gonna say no for two reasons. One, I don't think they would Logan him in this movie because we know he's still got, at the very least, Secret Wars, if not like a cameo in Doomsday. Mm-hmm. But also, I think he wants to share at least one scene with Miles.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I assume that they're going to attempt, again, reset the clock, I'm saying it again, one of the best versions of Miles and Peter is in the Insomniac games. He's just a dude he finds that works at Feast and ends up getting the spider through an accident, and then they become, like, helps him move into his apartment and some other shit, and they become really good friends. It's literally my favorite version of Peter and Miles ever. It's fantastic. And the fact that they show how powerful Jean is in this and how much she cared about what Peter did for her, showing how much I actually believe her face turn, was that she helps get him to the hospital. Also, everybody, we need to remember something. Everyone in that facility now knows who Peter Parker is at the damage control facility. I'm like, no, they don't.
Only the people who operated on him. Like,
I wouldn't even say, I wouldn't even go that far. Everybody at the damage control facility was under her control, and we've established that they don't remember a damn thing when they were under control. So they would not remember who he was.
Okay.
Now, everyone in that hospital, and this is what I'm thinking because Frank said he had it covered, no one was in the room when he had the oxygen mask on. And the entire suit is destroyed outside of the mask. I am betting dollars to donuts that they operated on him with that mask on, and Frank made sure no one was in the room when the oxygen was on him and he was left in there.
Yeah,
so
that seems likely.
I think that's how it was covered, to where they basically put that on whatever, and he got a break where Frank was like, nobody comes in this room or I will kill all of you. So when he says he's got it covered, that's what I'm going to assume. Because he said they had
that makes the most sense.
Yeah. And it's really nice seeing the whole New York everybody loves Spider-Man come back, because you really haven't had that since Spider-Man 2, the original.
With the train sequence.
Yeah. And it's really nice to have. They really didn't have, outside of the really contrived turning of the cranes in Spider-Man 1, or Amazing Spider-Man 1. It was cool to see that they, like, genuinely love him. Again, going from Spider-Man's a murderer, blah, blah, blah. All that, and then coming to this. He's like, what do you want to get out of here? I got a plan. It's Spider-Man! Like, I love Frank Castle's Punisher. Man, if they could get rid of that, like stuff he does, like when he was shooting the Hulk, he was doing that too. I'm like, I love everything about his Punisher. That part I could do without.
It's almost as grating as Christian Bale's Batman voice.
It is. It's really close, and it's just it's the one little part where you get to have the great moment between him there, and you can see how much, like, you can fit the Punisher in a PG-13 movie. It's just the things that he gets to shoot can't get hurt. Like, because you see the main things he shoots the entire time, he just unloads bullets into the Hulk the entire time. So he was acting like himself, and he actually shoots Peter. So you get to see a little bit of character development with them, talking about bravery and all that, and like seeing Frank cry, other things, and I really would be okay if you put the Punisher in more Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
They also had they also had the recreation of the scene from Civil War in this when he carries him through the door.
Oh yeah.
But go ahead.
I feel like the next like solo Spider-Man movie should be Block Party. Or like a version of it where Peter, Frank, and Matt can team up to do something.
Yeah, because there was a thing recently where Kevin Feige said that the logistical, or I guess copyright mumbo jumbo to get Kingpin in a movie is not as complicated as Vincent D'Onofrio made it out to be. Like, he said that in an interview recently. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you come out of nowhere and say that?
Right? And after his exile in Daredevil, like you don't have to say that if unless you have plans for him.
Exactly. Because it's kind of actively crazy that we've seen the Hand fight Peter Parker, but we haven't seen Peter Parker fight in a scene alongside Daredevil. We've seen him with Matt, obviously. But, yeah. And to go back to my point earlier about how this movie is ending, you see Peter on the scaffolding there, and then you see MJ across the way with her little necklace going like she's starting to think, I don't remember this guy, but I think I still might have something there. They're going to fix them. Like,
yep.
Guys, that's the thing. And then everyone's like, well, they show Jean right after. Like, yeah, because she's leaving.
Yeah, she's going upstate.
Yeah, if they didn't show what would happen to her, that would have been really weird. But the extent of her powers that I mentioned before, I didn't notice this the first time until someone pointed it out on Twitter. Jean literally saved Peter's life. Literally. She was, through her telepathic abilities, breathing for him. Watch the movie again, and you'll see their breathing patterns are synced, and when he finally wakes up, she stops breathing for him. And you hear the sound effect of her leaving someone's body out of a jump.
Okay, that's actually really clever.
That's fucking awesome. Like, there's going to be he's not going to have much to do in Doomsday. I don't think, anyway. But there needs to be a scene where those two get together in the future and one of them saves the other's ass. Like, I didn't think you were... And this is one of the things where, again, new runs of comics, I didn't think there'd be a point where I'm like, man, I can't wait for the next time when Spider-Man and Jean Grey see each other. Like, it's ridiculous. Because that's the point where it's good writing, where it's the opposite point of where, like, Spider-Man and having the moment with freaking Doomsday with Tony, where they're probably going to have, where even if he isn't playing a whatever, he looks like it, but yeah, this is better versions of what that is. Uh, this movie flowed so well. It was written immaculately. There was nothing in here that didn't need to be in here. And it felt like Holland said specifically, I'm not doing a movie just to do a movie. Like, this movie needs to be important and there needs to be a good story, or I'm literally not doing it. I have enough money. I don't need to do Spider-Man anymore if I don't want to, which is crazy to say because this movie is going to make all of the money.
Yeah, it's not just going to make a lot of money. It's going to make all the money.
Yeah. To quote Spaceballs, it's going to make a shit ton of money. This thing has outdone the records, both of them, for Thursday preview and opening day of Endgame. I will repeat that. This solo Spider-Man movie has outdone the Thursday preview night and opening night of fucking Endgame. That is crazy. It outdid Endgame by like $20 million Thursday.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's fucking crazy. And Tom was the producer on this movie. You can bet dollars to donuts this is going to be like, Tom, I want you to do another Spider-Man movie. Cool. I'm the executive producer. I'm the main head bitch in charge. I am saying how this movie goes. Or otherwise, it's not happening. Like, again, he had them shift shooting days so that he could do the Odyssey. And still did this. It's fucking crazy.
I love that.
God.
Now, this movie only has one post-credit scene, but
it's a big one.
It is a big one. But am I the only one who thinks, like, if they wanted to, they could have done like a mid-credit scene of that bus finally heading towards, I don't know, a mansion?
They could, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't even think they know what that mansion looks like right now.
You know what? Fair.
I think if they were further along in that X-Men movie, they would have had that. I think that if Xavier was cast, it would have been in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, if they were further along and closer to that X-Men movie, I think there would have been a grandiose mid-credit scene involving Jean getting to there and then running into Xavier, and he goes, by the way, this is one of my other promising students, Scott Summers. And then, blah, rainbows, kitty cats, and butterflies all over and whatever. But yeah, and the shippers go crazy. But
then that leads to my point about the post-credit scene. It does kind of feel like we're kind of going back to what they did in Phase 1, where the stinger is only directly about the next movie.
Yep. Now, here's the thing I want to ask you, because I had a lot of people spitballing stuff around, because I actually ran into a lot of friends from high school that I haven't seen in a few years, and we were talking about this. Do you think the Spider-Man sighting is Peter 1? Because it did not say what Spider-Man it was. It said it was Spider-Man was sighted. And we know point blank that that thing works off of people seeing Spider-Man. There's no way to actually say that it's that Spider-Man.
You know, you raise a good point.
So, because we're going to have Battleworld, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone that doesn't know, Battleworld doesn't start until the multiverse is destroyed, if they're going to do that the exact same way that it's done in the comics anyway. So, this could mean a couple of things. This could mean that in the next movie, we're going to see one of the other ones, like Toby or Andrew. And, you know, those questions are already flying. And Tom went out of his way in an interview to say, you know what? I just don't know what a black symbiote suit would look like on screen. Like, I'd want it to look something kind of like the Insomniac games, but I just don't know if we can do it that good on screen. Hey, everybody at home, where did Peter Parker get the symbiote suit originally in comics?
Mm-hmm.
You're not very subtle, Tom. Because A, they could have him have it, and then the next two movies of this trilogy is him doing it if they actually have these. And then him getting out of it is passing them, because they could have the symbiote and whatever, and then they could have the final movie where, okay, since we're through the movie already, I'm just going to tell you what happens in the Insomniac games and show you how great this is. So, in the Insomniac games, he gets the symbiote in 2. Miles is like an established Spider-Man at this point. The entirety of the time I'm playing that game, you can openly switch between Peter and Miles, and they play very differently. As it should. I was quite impressed how different they made them play. There was an entire point where I'm like, at some point, the person that gets Peter out of the symbiote suit needs to be Miles, and there needs to be a boss fight where you play as Miles and you get to beat the fuck out of Peter. And then at the penultimate part where he is Venom, it switches control from Peter to Miles, and you have that boss fight. And he talks him out of it, and he rips the symbiote suit clean off of Peter, and it scurries away. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not going to say you're going to have a full-fledged Miles within 2 movies and doing whatever. What I think could happen is possibly if he gets the symbiote suit, and this is all insinuating that they're actually going to do another full trilogy. If they get the symbiote suit and he has one movie with the symbiote suit and he still has it throughout that movie, and then he meets Miles and he's still pretty normal, and then in the third movie he starts being weird, and Miles is one of the people that talks him out of it, and then that proves to Peter that he can pass the mantle on to Miles. That could be pretty sick if you want to do it that way, because then you could start the whole this Peter having 6 movies on his own, which would be crazy to talk about. That is one way you could do it if you want to bring it in, and then let Tom go off into the sunset where we would have had, how old's Tom Holland?
He just turned 30 recently.
That dude could have that man could have, possibly, if he shows up in it, 4 Avengers films and 2 Spider-Man trilogies under his belt before he's 35.
Crazy to think about.
And then he could go, I got all the money I ever wanted. Deuces, I'm done with Marvel movies. Which I wouldn't blame him. He was just in a Christopher Nolan movie. The dude wants to be a dad at some point, and I bet he wants to do that before he's 40.
Probably.
Him and Zendaya are both young, and he's openly said he is done acting as soon as he gets a kid. He is going to be out of here, and you're never going to hear from him again. And you know what? From what I've seen from Tom and how he handles himself, I believe that 100%. You're never going to see his face again as soon as he has a kid. But you know what?
So he'll pull a Rick Moranis.
Pretty much. But yeah, it'd be really sick. Now, is the realistic version that we're probably going to see more than one version of a Spider-Man? Probably. This is going to be Cameo City, USA. That's the point of this movie. Everyone's going to bitch about it, but then they're going to be jumping for joy when the fact that everyone's like, nostalgia, cameo porn. That's the literal plot of this movie is cameo porn. Both of them. It's the reason why it's happening. And then we're going to have whatever stapled together version of Earth at the end of this. And, I just thought of something. They would never do it because I doubt it would be able to be that big of a secret. But they could technically introduce a fully trained Miles in Secret Wars as a part of his world being stapled together as in the New Earth.
They could.
And that's
I don't think they will.
No. Absolutely not. But that's about the one way you could fast track having the little storyline that I just put together of having him actually have a fight with him and ripping the suit off of, which they're not going to, but that's how they could. But that is also, you could introduce Miles into the world through that, but no, Miles exists already because in Homecoming, freaking Donald Glover's character, who should be the Prowler in one of these movies, I know he was in it in Across the Spider-Verse or Into
Across.
Across. Thank you. I forget how they label those. But for the love of God, let him be Prowler in one of these. The fact that we've never seen Prowler on screen, but we outside of that one scene, he's mentioned that Miles exists. People like to forget that Prowler's nephew is Miles.
Yep.
So he's alive. He's been alive for quite a few years now. So he could be in his 20s by the time if everyone's going to remember that scene exists, which they could totally ignore that. Because that was his fan service at that point. Yeah, there's a lot they can do. And I liked that it was, like you said, just going towards the next movie. Simplify things, make it whatever, just zero it down. And I hope that they get more... They can still be grandiose and such, but just, like, plan the next movie with what it needs to be and have it be that. Because I think what they figured out with, I don't know, with Blade, with, like, there's rumors where there was problems on Mahershala's end, where Mahershala wanted to do, didn't fit, and that's why it didn't work, and then there's rumors on the other end. Now we have this Ghost Rider movie. I think they're starting to realize we're only going to make movies, God, I hope, that, like, serve the purpose of going through, and it's not going to be like, this character gets a trilogy and then they're done, this character gets a trilogy and then they're done, and go that way. I understand you could do it certain ways, but not every character works that way.
Yeah, some characters are either one and done. Some characters just shouldn't have their own movies, but can be sprinkled into others. Mm-hmm. And then there's just some characters who literally can be in everything.
Exactly. So I'm excited for whatever the hell they're gonna do, because it'll be interesting to see how it falls apart. I don't think there's going to be a middle ground with these Avengers movies. I think they are going to be pretty spectacularly amazing, or they're going to turn out to be trash fires. With the amount of stuff that is going on in them, I don't see there being a lot of middle ground.
Yeah, all I can do now is just hope for the best.
Yeah, and we have... It's crazy to say that we're only like 4 months away from the first one.
That is crazy.
And we've had one trailer. For Marvel standards, that's kind of insane.
Mm-hmm.
But to think of the fact that up until the trailer, I think they were still like editing the movie up until the 2 months before. They might still be editing it now. To be perfectly honest. But do you have anything else?
I think we covered just about everything. Overall, I'm just happy that like this is the Spider-Man movie that got to run on the ground that the Homecoming or like the Home trilogy laid.
Yeah. It's not very often that a character gets a origin trilogy. It's kind of insane to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was very happy with it. Yeah, I know everybody's seen this, obviously, but yeah, I'm probably going to be going another time, sometime next week, to go and see it in the bigger theater than my normal hometown. But yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good, because my roommate's going to be back next weekend, so I'll definitely be taking him. If we don't have anything else, Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Renegade Pop Culture. You can also find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Renegade Pop Culture, YouTube at Renegade Pop Culture, or Organite Zero. Find us on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Absolutely. You can find me everywhere at Organite Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube. And if you like cosplay and convention going and such, you can find my Instagram over at Organite Zero. I will be back to streaming tonight. I took a long break because I pulled a lot of freaking hours these last 2 weeks and other things, and I'm getting towards the ass end of having to work all this overtime. So, just trying to speed it along. But until next time, we will see you all later. Bye! Peace.